Hello and welcome to that Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, Chris Stark and Statman Dave with me as usual. You okay, boys? All good?
Good, Dave. News? Any news?
I'm just dead excited about today. I found some real joy in it. Some happiness, some sadness. And, you know, some moves that could have done a bit better. Crouch, out of 10, how good were yours?
I like the loan situation. I really do. I feel like it benefits everyone, really. You know, like, I mean, I got farmed off to places that I didn't want to go to. But I actually came out of it quite, you know, it was really beneficial to me.
We have talked a bit about some of your loan moves on the podcast before, but we've never gone into too much depth on the specific loan moves that you made. And I think there's stories that you've held back, actually.
Yeah, because
Be honest.
No, I agree. Yeah, there is some story. There's some very funny moments. Being in a hotel miles away from home and staying in that hotel and being a footballer in a town that you don't know, lots happen.
Yeah. I agree with you, Dave. I can't wait for us to get into this. So if you're new to this podcast, we should say welcome along. This is what we do. Every episode, we delve into a different specific bit of being a footballer. We've had episodes so far on relegation, what it's like when a new manager comes into a club. And on the last podcast, Crouchy printed off an old contract for us to go through, which was awesome.
Yeah, there's been a big response to that one. Like, I've had a lot of people getting in touch with me asking a lot of questions, and there might be some questions maybe that we haven't answered totally. So maybe there's some more miles in that. I think I need to get some more off my chest and go through the entirety of the contract, because there was lots of questions still unanswered.
Yeah, we got about 2 pages in on that. This episode is all about loan moves. Crouchy, you had 3 in your career, all quite different.
Very different, mate. Very different, but all enjoyable and all very beneficial.
We sort of saw that a bit with I'm a Celebrity with Ant and Dec. Ant wasn't on for one series, was he? Holly Willoughby was loaned in this morning.
So we do get it. This morning
to the jungle.
What was it, 6 months? Only
decent money from what I heard. To do I'm a Celebrity with Dec. Decent performance. Didn't offend anyone, I don't think. Made a good account of herself, went back, and she wasn't replaced on This Morning. She's still doing that ever since.
Do you think she's become more complete there?
I think she's a more complete player for doing that, because people had their doubts, didn't they?
Yeah, they did have their doubts, but she stepped up to the mark. I think it's a beneficial loan move for everyone there.
Yeah. Right, Crouch, you've had 3 loan moves in your career. The first one, Dulwich Hamlet. How was that?
Yeah, it's a strange one. Like I'll be honest, I'm at Tottenham, right? So I'm at Tottenham and I'm thinking, I'm trying to break into the first team. I've got so many players ahead of me at the time. But that's where I sort of saw myself. And then all of a sudden they say, right, bang, get in non-league football. You know, so I've gone from playing reserve games with the odd game. Ginola was injured. He was back down there. Les Ferdinand, Rule Fox. You know, Sol Campbell might have been, Chris Armstrong getting fit. You know, like I'd be training with these players. Then all of a sudden, bang, you're going to a non-league club and you're playing Carshalton, you know, Sutton, teams like this. I'll be honest, I didn't want to go. I was kicking and screaming. I wasn't happy about it.
So when you say you didn't want to go, who did you represent that to? Do you represent that to the club?
No, I told David Pleat. David Pleat was the director of football at the time, and he said to me, I think they were signing a player called Dave McEwen, always remember it, and he was coming into Tottenham, and the condition of that was that they got a young player up and coming that would play for them for a few months, and I was that player basically. So it was a condition of the signing.
That's crazy though, because as much as you're playing for Tottenham and you're there to play as part of a team and for the betterment of the club, it's almost, and this isn't the way to look at it, but it sounds like it was someone else's contract. It was someone else's terms that were dictating what your future could potentially be. And that's quite unfair on you.
Yeah. But you're exactly right, Chris. Like, it's a condition of, like, basically you're seen as a pawn in a transfer signing. Like, you are a commodity. You are being traded like a piece of meat, really. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, of course, you know, we're playing football and we're very lucky to do so. But, you know, if someone tells you you're doing that, it's like that's it. There's no real loyalty. Like, players obviously get a bad rap sometimes for, asking for this and that. But on the flip side of that, on the negative side of that, like there's lots that the clubs do sometimes that you, that it doesn't sit right, and not just mine, because actually I'm getting to the point where it actually worked out really well for me. It was beneficial, but there are, players and things you don't see, like even the youth team, the entire youth team. We had 20, 25 players, year above me and my year. Probably 2 or 3 had a living out the game, but then the rest of them are just sort of cast aside. And I think it's different now, but that is how it was.
You're almost being used as a blood sacrifice.
But that is exactly like this. This is why it annoyed me, because I knew that I was a make weight in the deal. I didn't, and he obviously passed it off as it being beneficial to me. Obviously, I went there kicking and screaming. I always remember coming out and I was walking with David Pleat, and David Pleat shouting to Les Ferdinand, who was walking out, and saying, Les, like, what do you reckon? I'm sending it, like, it's be beneficial for him, wouldn't own it. And he said, to be fair to Les, he was like, no, I think.
That's mad.
He went, no, I think he's better than that. And I was like, I always like remember Les sort of sticking up for me because he knew I wasn't happy about it. And then Les was like, nah, he's better than that. I think you can get him a higher standard, this and that. And then he just walked off. I was like, oh, what a ledge. And then,
but I think this goes without saying, by the way, the Dulwich Hamlets thing, it's obviously worked out well for you eventually. But I'm really interested in at that point as a 17-year-old, because there'll be loads of 17-year-olds or people around that age listening to this right now. Like, that could have killed your career.
Yeah, but I think it's the way you look at it. So I could have gone there and gone, I'm better than this, and sort of sulked a bit and gone and made it apparent that I thought I was better than that. And then I would have got nailed, number one, by the players in the dressing room, because they're playing for a different thing. They're playing for their livelihoods. What they earn is, paying their mortgages. And if you're not pulling your weight, you've become a prima donna from a big club, you're going to get told in no uncertain terms pretty quickly. So I went down there, and obviously once I got over it, originally I was going, I want to stay here, I want to fight for my place, I want to do it here. When I went down there, I was like, well, I can't be sulking now. Like you're saying, that my mindset was I need to excel. It was so beneficial to me, because I went there, I got kicked. I was playing in games that you had to win. I'm playing in reserve games and youth team games. People saying, it's a North London derby. It's not. It's made up. It's kids football. There, you got to win. 3 points matters. And it gave me that kind of, instead of playing to develop as a player, I was playing to win matches. And that was something that really, really helped me early on in my career. I realised that, it's all about winning.
So, 17-year-old Peter Crouch turns up, Dulwich Hamlets. Are you wearing the Tottenham Hotspur trackie? Like, it's a tricky one for you, isn't it? Because
I trained at Tottenham Monday to Friday. So I'm still training at Tottenham. And then I go on a Saturday. My dad would drive me to Dulwich, and we played a game. So I wasn't doing any training with the Dulwich boys.
But hang on. So you're going. I don't get that. I don't get this at all. So your loan move is to be still training with Tottenham, right? But playing for
because they're part time. They're training on a maybe Tuesday or Thursday night.
Would you go down to those training sessions?
No, I'd just train like with Tottenham.
It sounds so like disjoint and unstrategized in a sense. They're sending this young striker to Dulwich, but you're basically playing with these lads for 90 minutes a week.
Yeah.
Do they give you shit?
No, they were all actually really good with me, I think. And listen, I didn't go there and set the world alight. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how weird my career is. So strange. Like when we talk about like Gerrard, people like go bang, 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 like Rooney, Owen, they're like going to play for England, right? For me, I was going, maybe it's my level. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I scored 1 goal in the whole time I was there, like 6 or 7 games. I didn't come back and everyone went, wow, like let's get him in the first team. I was like, whoa. I didn't know what my level was. I didn't know.
Did you feel disconnected from Spurs?
You'd speak to, I'd speak to Chris Hughton a lot. He was good. He was like the reserve team manager at the time. David Pleat was like a deal maker, if you know what I mean. He didn't have much to do with me after that. But Chris Hughton was very good. He used to give me a call. My youth team manager, Bob Arbor and Des Bolpin, like they would call me and ask me how I was doing. And they'd always send someone to watch the matches and stuff. So yeah, I didn't feel complete disconnection. But as a sort of young player trying to make his way in the game, it's like it's just sort of what I had to do at that time.
So let's talk money, right? 17 years old, you're on sort of Tottenham money at that point, even though it was less. I always remember you saying that.
So I'd signed a professional contract by then.
Yeah. So do Dulwich then take over the payments?
No. I was still paid by Tottenham. I mean, I was on 45 quid a week when I signed my apprenticeship for 2 years. And then I signed my first professional contract was 300. So I thought I've hit the big time here.
Balling.
I was balling then. I always remember I went to Lakeside when I signed my first contract. Right, went to Lakeside and me and Ledley had just signed our pro contracts. But we went with a couple of lads who hadn't, and then we're just gonna nip in here, lads. And they were like, "We'll wait outside." And I went, "Well, don't worry, we signed professional contracts, haven't we? We went to H Samuel." Absolutely balling, right? Me and Ledley went into H Samuel and I bought a gold bracelet.
Wow.
I bought this gold bracelet, right? And I put it on and I went, and Led had one on as well. And I went, fuck. Lads were like, a couple of the boys were like, wow. Smashed it, lads.
We've made it.
Made it.
H Samuel.
H Samuel. Honestly, I got home. When I got home, my dad went, what the fuck is that on your wrist? And I went, but it'd already gone like a bit sort of brown. And he went, get that off and never wear that again. And I went, yeah, you're right. And I took it off and never wore it again. I put it in a drawer. I kept it in its like little case. And I put it next to my bed. And every now and then I looked at it and went, yeah.
That's money, that
You're
is.
doing well there, son. But then I just put it back in his case just in case my dad battered me.
Did you feel like a big player? I know you're saying, like, because a lot of what we're talking about here is with hindsight, but when you first walked in at Dulwich, did you have any sort of cockiness about yourself? Did you have a feeling of being like, I'm really a Tottenham player, but in this setup?
No, I was literally the furthest away you can get from that. And I'm not just saying that. Like I went in there and these were proper men. Mm. So I'm, like absolute fellas, like, and I was like in there, young kid going, oh God, like, and they're talking about all sorts, and I was 17, but I was like a baby, and that was my issue. Was like I always felt technically I was good, but my issue was my body wasn't catching up, and I wasn't a man until like 23, 22. Like to play in the Premier League. So like that's why I always knew I had good ability, but I just found it difficult to sort of cope with that. And that's why it was a good loan for me to be down there.
Why did they choose you, do you think?
No, I just think I was basically the players ahead of me. I had so many players ahead of me, and all of them had more of a chance than me. And I could name them, and like you probably won't recognise the names, but to me they were miles ahead of me at that time. And there was loads of them. Like obviously, in the first team, you had Les Ferdinand, Chris Armstrong, Stefan Everson. But then below that, you had Paul McVeigh, Neil Fenn, James Bunn, John Piercy, Wayne Vaughan. Like there were so many like players ahead of me, and I had to go out on loan, and I did it, and it was beneficial to me because I learned all these kinds of things. But then I got farmed out again to Sweden.
This is where it gets interesting, Dave. We've touched on Sweden in the past. We've touched on the loan move. Crouchy's never really gone into too much about what happened out there. We've been doing some digging.
Chris, one of the biggest things I found, we've got a record that we don't really speak about. Crouchy, I think you might be the only player in the Swedish division that scored 5 goals in one reserve game. Yeah. I think that's a record that's not been broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's not sort of an amazing record, is it? Like I went on loan to Sweden for part-timers and played in the reserves.
So just explain, give context to this. So you're Dulwich Hamlets. Then what's happened? Have you gone back to Tottenham? Like, how did you get recalled?
I'm back to Tottenham, right? And I was playing well, and I remember.
Hang on, so they say your loan moves ended at Dulwich Hamlets. That's a great day when they call you back, surely.
Yeah, I'm back, but I was contracted, so like it was I think it only lasted a month. the Dulwich loan. It felt like I remember it clear as day, but it wasn't a long loan. So yeah, I went back, and then I remember I didn't play many reserve games. I played the odd reserve game and stuff, but then Chris Hughton, who was reserve team manager at the time, came to me, and I think there's a similar situation. Signed, I remember his name, like John Johnson or John Johansson. Not bad player actually. Signed him from IFK Hässleholm, and similar thing. So me and Alton Thelwell and out to Sweden. And we got sort of like the new up and coming Swedish player. And
so who sat you down at
Chris
that
Hughton,
point?
that was at that time.
So Chris Hughton goes, Crouchy, we're doing it again.
Strap yourself in, son. Where am I going now, Chris? We don't really know.
We've got this other player. We're sending you out.
Thankfully, me and Alton got on really well. He's a good lad. I still speak to him now. Actually, I mean, we had some time out there, and you know what? I was at that time. I thought I was a bit more ready. I'm 19 now, and also, you know, I made my QPR debut not long after that. But I went out there and I had a different kind of mindset. I was a bit more sure of myself now. So I'm not a 17-year-old. I'm 19. I'm thinking I should be playing now at a certain level. And I went out there and I was fuming. I was fuming about sort of doing it. I mean, players went out. It was summer and everyone else sort of was on holiday. And me and Alton were sent to Sweden to play. Like their season obviously was different.
So you thought you were starting the summer holidays?
So yeah, it was made the case that I would go out there. Went out there and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it really. Sweden's an interesting place.
But you didn't want to be out there. That's what you're saying.
Not really. Like, I wouldn't say like I didn't say, God, do you know where I need to go? The Swedish second division. It wasn't on my radar, really. But you know,
so
it presented itself, and I went for it.
So Chris sits here, right? And he says to you, Crouchy, like, we're sending you away, right? Just explain how he breaks the news to you.
He's selling, you know, you've not had many games. Want to go out, you go out there, play, enjoy it, come back. It's a new experience. It's something, I mean, listen, I was living at home and travelling to Tottenham every day with my mum and dad and sister. So all of a sudden, like, they gave us a flat, they gave us a car. And it's the first time I'd ever it's like basically Sweden was my uni. Like for people out there that have been to university, I left home and I did my uni in Sweden. So I did everything that you do at uni.
Big question. How was Freshers?
Oh, awesome. There was one particular lad that really, really looked after us. As soon as we arrived, he said, where are you staying? And I said, so-and-so flats. And he was like, whoa. And he had a name for it. It's basically the Swedish name for the ghetto in Sweden. That's where we were staying. For me, it was lovely. I thought it was like the flat. I thought it was really nice. And we had a little flat. But can you imagine like two sort of like 19-year-old like footballers in a flat in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, and it was a quiet little village. So we ended up just having to go out, and training wasn't till 4, sort of part time. So we trained every day, but we trained at 4:00.
So are Tottenham not worried at all when they start getting reports that Peter Crouch is out there enjoying the? He can sleep in, training's not till 4, so you can go out to whatever time. You've got enough time to recover before training. I can see the little smile on your face right now, which suggests this is absolutely true. And then straight after training, you just head straight out. It's perfect, right?
Well, listen, we're 19 years old, right? And we've been thrown into a Swedish league, and we are in the summer, basically. We had a lot of fun, I'm not going to lie. I was fuming with Alton because he got a girlfriend after like 2 weeks.
That's a classic uni mistake, by the way. That's a bit like those people that go to uni in a relationship. It's statistically, Dave, you'll be able to tell
absolutely
if
fails.
It
100%
fails.
of the time.
Like,
The early girlfriend shouts.
yeah.
It's a terrible shout. Alton knows he let himself down. I said to him, it was like we were having the time of our lives, right? First couple of weeks, time of our lives. The lads were good in the team. They were showing us where to go, places to go. We had so much fun. And all of a sudden, Camilla, her name was, I always remember it. He brought like Camilla home. I was like, right, strange one. And then let it slide. And then he kept coming round. I'm like, he's going, we're gonna watch a film. Like,
oh no,
you are killing me here, son. So
who stepped up in the team? Who became the ultimate?
I had a lad. I got his name now. It's killing me. Oh, I picture his face. Really annoying. He was a really good lad, but yeah. I mean, I ended up just. We were in such a weird play. Like, it was really, really nice, beautiful place, but really quiet. So yeah.
So, was it like bars? Was it like nightclubs?
No.
What was it?
When I say it's basically the equivalent of being like, you've got one nightclub maybe and the Red Lion. And there was an English pub called the Red Lion. I'm not gonna lie, I spent a lot of time in there. I did.
And Camilla wasn't invited to the Red Lion.
God.
I get the impression you.
She was a lovely girl though.
Was she?
Yeah, she was a lovely girl.
But annoying for you because
It's not ideal.
you
She
saw the wider
took
picture.
Took my wingman away.
Yeah, that's what they do. It's a classic Camilla move.
Why do they do that though?
It's always a tricky situation with mates, isn't it? Where suddenly the girl, they start seeing someone and then it's just little steps, and they're there overnight and they maybe just hang around a bit in the morning. That's where it starts. Then there's breakfast and because it's all the exciting phase, it starts to happen a bit more. And then suddenly you notice there's an extra toothbrush. Camilla's toothbrush is there. And you're thinking, okay, well, I guess it makes sense. It's convenient and all, but
when they start phasing you out,
yeah,
how does that?
Camilla would have hated you,
really, instantly,
because you were a threat. If you think about it from Camilla's point of view, she's found a new love. She's turning up. She would have been saying, "Oh, your silly mate over there.
Yeah,
like you concentrate on your football.
He's
and
slowing
me.
you down and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he's holding you back.
Yeah." Would have been it. You think she's taken away your wingman, but at that point she was in there. Camilla was like that Peter Crouch in there, like silly boy. Silly boy, immature.
Red Lion till 6 a.m. On to the nightclub after that.
Yeah.
Doesn't see the sunlight anymore.
And you come back, he's not allowed to the pub. Camilla's there watching a film, they're doing their thing, watching a film. He's there on the sofa. He's realised he's in too deep.
Yeah.
There's no eject button.
Nothing he can do. And then, was that the whole loan spell then? Was he effectively...
No, he came back.
Did he?
Came
Stronger.
back stronger. It was a point where he came back stronger.
That must have been an amazing time.
Oh, fantastic.
When your mate comes back.
We thought we'd lost him. Chumbawamba.
Come here, you.
I think
it's okay.
The beauty of your eyes then, Crouchy, when you just thought about that moment was incredible. It was like maybe the firstborn child type look.
Don't ever lose them.
Let's go to the pub.
Don't ever do that to me again.
Chris, usually I do all the research, but you've found someone that is really into Crouchy's time in Sweden.
Yeah, this is great, this. I've got the article here on this massive laptop. Just find it. Right, Crouchy, this is nuts, this. There's a few quotes from this guy that has covered your time whilst you were in Sweden. I've got questions for you, but I've also got questions for this guy because, what about you made him follow and track your career and then report back on it as a sort of young 19-year-old in Sweden? Like, it's odd, right?
So he's a Swedish journalist.
So sadly, I don't know his name.
What was this? Is Camilla?
Maybe it is.
Potentially is, yeah.
Let me read you some of this. 2 youngsters went to Sweden during the spring, just as the Swedish season was kicking off. Thelwell had already made his first team debut and great things were expected of the defender, whereas Crouch was not expected to re-sign for Spurs once the loan period was over. Rumours abound that Crouch spent a lot of his non-football time drinking and enjoying what little nightlife the quiet town of Hasselholm offered. According to some reports, Crouch drank more beer than water during his time at the club.
I feel like
This is Camilla, isn't it?
hard.
This is all massively pro
Thelwell and
Yeah.
anti-Crouch. It's Camilla, 100%.
But you're very hydrated, which is good. You don't ever want to be parched.
I wasn't parched.
Crouch was a poor player technically, in particular. In particular, in the air.
Yeah,
And
no,
this
I
is what he
get
worked on the most.
This is the truth. Like, technically, like football-wise, like I could play it. I mean, I know I could, but like my heading was awful. I had to work on it because I was so tall. Like he says there, I think he says there, I got smaller when I jumped, which is quite a hard thing to do. But yeah, I just wasn't any good at heading. And it's not something that I grew up trying to be. I didn't try and be good in the air. I wanted to be Paul Gascoigne, Roberto Baggio, players, Chris Waddle, players that dribble, good players like that. I don't look at players who headed the ball and want to emulate them.
But that time in Sweden, did that make you think, I need to get better at that?
100%, yeah. I like losing headers to people who are a lot smaller than me. There was lots of parts of my game that I had to improve to be the player that I became. But, I felt like it did help me. Like I came back, it wasn't just the football out there. It was growing up. Like it was having a car, having a flat, being able to do what I wanted and, sort of understanding, and it made me a little bit more independent, a bit more confident in myself. And I think it wasn't necessarily football, which wasn't, I didn't set the world alight again, but it was the being sort of independent, and that made me a man. Really.
Crouch drank more beer than water during his time at the club.
That's what I was going to quote.
I was going to say, reflecting on that, switching the beer for the water, more reflective on yourself, on your game.
You know what? Like I say, I didn't want to go out there, and it was in my summer, and I took it badly, and I went out there and I hit it quite hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I hit the football hard, and I hit the Red Lion hard.
I think it's mad that whoever that journalist is, maybe they'll hear about this. I would love to know what intrigued them so much about you at that age. And because it's a bizarre thing to follow and track, isn't it?
I am a strange sort of person at that age. Like in Sweden, like imagine that turned up, that English thing turned up. Like you can see on your page. There's a picture of me here. We're looking at right. Like I'm practically 6'7" there, and very skinny, and it's a strange old scenario, isn't it? Like, and then I turn up and I'm boozing and I'm out and about.
Did you have a nickname out there?
Probably. I only spoke to Alton. Said he pied me.
We got to touch on your loan move to Norwich City. How was that for you? So that was David O'Leary sending you off at that point. By then, were you getting fed up of the loan thing or not?
No, so we talked about this in our in the manager episode. Obviously, O'Leary turns up, not having me. Right, we don't need to touch on that again. I got farmed out again to Norwich, but I actually wanted to go. Like this was the one where I sort of went. Actually, it's a Championship club. Norwich is a big club, but it's like I had a nice feel about it. They had a good team at the time. I spoke to the manager and I enjoyed the manager. But obviously, bearing in mind, I'm a Premier League player and I've scored a few Premier League goals now. It is a step down, but at that time, it's something that I needed. Like I wasn't quite ready for the Premier League when I signed for Villa. Unfortunately, I just wasn't. So I needed a little bit of time to sort of carry on developing. Like I say, like everyone's different. Like some players burst on the scene at 17, 18. I was 23. Honestly, by the time I was ready for the Premier League, I think I was 23. And I had that loan move. And this is probably what sort of reignited my career. It really did. I went to Norwich and myself, Kevin Harper and Darren Huckabee signed all at the same time. Went to Norwich and we just were flying. We were winning games. We were scoring goals. I had a great connection with both of those players, Huckabee and Harper. We had a good team, really solid at the back. Good goalkeeper. Right throughout the team, we had ability. We ended up winning the league.
Was it anything to do with playing with someone like Huckabee in terms of developing your self-footballing with another player, like a partnership thing? Because obviously you went to Southampton, you obviously blasted the goals in with Kevin Phillips and so forth. Was anything there that you thought, look, I've got a real connection with these guys that can be used elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, certainly myself, Huckabee, Kevin Hart, like we did hit it off, and we did really well, but it was a strange old experience. Like, we went, all of a sudden I'm going, right, I'm single, right, and I'm going, right, bang, you're on loan to Norwich. I remember staying at Dunstan Hall, big old castle. I know you stayed there, lovely hotel, but I'm in there and I'm like, obviously I don't know Norwich at all, and I'm in this hotel, finished training at like say 1 o'clock. I have my lunch and I go back, probably have a bit of a kip or something like that. And then I'm sort of about 4 o'clock, I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? I'm going to head down for dinner, in the hotel and stuff like that. And I always remember I got chatting to this builder who's, it's literally like it's literally like Alan Partridge. I was in a hotel on my own, not knowing what to do. And I was sitting there, go down to dinner, and there's a builder, and he's like, yeah, I'm working on a site down the road, and he's I'm here for like 3 months. I said, oh, great. So am I. So me and this builder, right, ended up having a bit of we had a decent relationship. He'd work on the site. I'd go.
You're Alan Partridge.
I'd go to train.
That's Norwich and everything, isn't it?
And we'd have dinner every now and then. He'd go like, anyone
he was your
you?
Michael.
Yeah, he'd go like, anyone joining you? And I'd go like, no. And he'd go, we just sit down and we just talk. I was the site. And he'd go like, yeah, it's coming on. And I'll go, how's Norwich City? And I'm going, yeah, like we're doing well. Just chat about our days, really. And then, the odd time, if I had a day off or whatever, he'd go, have a few pints tonight? I say, yeah, we'll have a few pints.
So you go for drinks with him?
Well, just usually all around the hotel. Like, I didn't want to venture out too far. But then obviously on the weekends, like Saturday night, I'm in the boys' hands. I don't know what to do. So then they take me out around Norwich. My mates came down to sample Norwich.
Yeah, but this builder, it was quite sweet. So you'd both meet up for dinner. It's like, oh, what do you fancy for dinner tomorrow? It's always something from the hotel. It was like your Norfolk husband, wasn't he?
Basically, yeah.
Are you going to be back for dinner tomorrow?
Yeah. He was there for like a real similar amount of time. Obviously working on a job, and he's in a hotel, staying down there, and so was I. And it was one of those ones that it was so quiet, the hotel. Like, it'd be weird if he didn't say hello. One of those, like, he's over there every night, right? And I'm over here every night. And go like, what you gone for tonight, mate? Yeah, I went for the steak again. That kind. It's like, we might as well chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a strange old thing alone.
It'd be great to reunite you two again, wouldn't it?
Would.
Did he ever take you to the cinema or anything else?
No,
bowling?
I didn't like to get sort of, we didn't go that far. We just sort of saw each other. I don't think I ever had his number. I just see him and he go.
Do you remember his name?
No.
So what are we looking for here? A builder in Norwich.
A builder in Norwich in a similar season to me.
Weird vibe being on loan, isn't it? Because you have what they call the parent club, which is obviously your club that are loaning you out. That's your real father. And then you're going to a new manager, aren't you? And that's sort of your stepdad. They inherit you. They take you in. Right. They want you. Your actual real dad's giving you away.
Oh, God. It's harsh, isn't it?
Isn't it? You're right, Dave.
How do I navigate this one?
Which dad loved you more?
Yeah. So Nigel Worthington was your stepdad for a period of time, wasn't he? So he takes.
He was better to me. He cared for me more than he did my real dad, O'Leary.
Yeah. So, okay. So do they try and slag off the other manager a bit? Do they kind of say, right, you're here now. Like, I know you're brilliant, right? We want you. Other manager hasn't got a clue, that kind of thing. Or is it quite collaborative, do you think, between the two managers? And
no, I think the way every circumstance is different. You know, if you're a young up and coming player, it might be more hands on, you know, from your real father. And I think with my situation, it was like I was a son he didn't want. And he discarded me. And I was thankful for my stepdad, Nigel, to pick me up.
You've got a manager, right? And you're playing a certain way to impress that manager. As soon as you're out on loan, do you just sort of forget about that other manager? So, i.e., stop trying to impress them.
Yeah.
And it becomes about impressing this new manager on, is the game really that they will then feed back to the club?
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, also the mentality of it as well is that sometimes like you sort of know that manager's not going to watch the games. So it becomes more about, David, enjoy this, the stats, right? So actually the feedback you'll get, like, did he score on Saturday? You know, no,
Yeah.
Told you. You know what I mean? Whereas if I did, it's like, it becomes all about the goals. And people go, well, it's like you played 7 games and scored. When Defoe went to Bournemouth and scored, 8 in 8, was it? Broke the record. That makes waves. That makes, you know, Harry might not have watched every game he played at Bournemouth, but you come back with an 8 in 8 record,
It's
conversations are being had.
But it's like what we were saying about Norwich, is the fact that the team were getting good results and it looked like you guys had come in, had this impact. It's good PR, just as a headline, I guess.
But I think a lot of it is headlines. You know, a lot of going out on loan is that, you know, like if I go and bang in loads of goals, but like for instance Norwich, we won the league. You know, I played what that you know, it caused. It's a conversation to be had, isn't it? Whereas if you go there and don't perform, it's told you so.
I feel I've learned loads about loan moves today. Sort of the good things about them, the negative things. It feels like you've experienced both with that.
I'm very pro loan. I do think it benefited me, and I might not have wanted to do it at the time, but I was young and naive, and I did it, and it helped me. And every single loan had was beneficial to me in some way.
Yeah, it's been a good episode. I've enjoyed this.
It's been absolutely I think one of the big things. Crouchy, would you have liked a Fernando Morientes loan to Monaco at some part of your career?
Yeah, I would have loved that, yeah. But I worry that I'd have just gone there and, you know, the person I went with got a Camilla.
All right, boys, back stronger next episode.
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.